everybody. Unfortunately, again, we're doing the shiur from home. And to all the viewers and listeners, hopefully, Bezrat Hashem, next time we'll do it as we used to do it. Anyway, Parashat Shavua is Parashat Tzav. And the parasha starts in a very interesting point. Tzav et Aaron. What is Tzav? Order Aaron to do, what to do, to tell about the Chat HaOlah. We're talking about the sacrifice, and one of the main sacrifices is Korban HaOlah, a sacrifice that you used to bring every day, morning and night. This is the sacrifice that opened all the sacrifices of the day and also ends all the sacrifices of the day. And in a minute, we'll come back to it to understand what it's all about. But the interesting thing is that Tzav, says Rashi, is to rush Aaron to do it. And now and also for the next generations. And the question is, what do you mean rush Aaron? You have to rush Aaron according to do something? It definitely is going to do it with no problem. The point is that we're talking here about a sacrifice, as we said, that we bring every day, twice a day, and it's mean every day. Every day, Shabbos, Yom Kippur, Rosh Hashanah, every day of the year, we bring those sacrifices. And you know, when you do something, and you get used to it, and you do it every day and every day, what's happening to it? It's beginning to be something that you don't even think about. You just do it. It becomes like something automatic that you do every day. Unfortunately, a lot of things in life, this is what happens to them. And maybe this is one of the reasons that this coronavirus came, in order to take us out of what we are used to and what we do every day, and start looking at things. What is it all about? And here, for example, what those sacrifices are today. What does it mean today, those sacrifices? And we talked about it. But one of the things is prayer. Prayer. We pray to God 3 times a day. And this is our sacrifices. But we do it sometimes, we're so used to it, so we don't even think about what we're talking. We're just saying, davening. This is davening. This is not exactly davening. When we're talking about davening, we have to do it in a proper way. And we have to think about it. And this is everything that you get used to it. Unfortunately, it loses this fire. And this is what the Torah is telling us. The Torah is telling us, צב את אהרון ואת בניו לאמור, זאת תורת העולה, היא עולה על מוקדה על המזבח כל הלילה, ואש המזבח תוגד בו. The fire should burn, and it should burn all the time. And the Parsha 3 times tells us in the same psukim about not making sure that the altar is with burning fire. The fire burns all the time. What is the fire? The fire is the fire of excitement. I'm doing something I'm excited about. I'm doing it with fire, full with fire. Unfortunately, as we all know, when time flies, the fire turns down and sometimes turns off. And that's the problem. That's why you need to tell people, Tzav, you have to put it in your mind. Stop for a minute and think, what am I doing? Yes, I'm doing it every day. I'm doing it a few times. So what? Think about it. Where is all the itlavut, all the fire you had in you when you started doing it? The same thing is in marriage. The same thing is with Pesach. We remember Yetziat Mitzrayim every day, but the Torah tells us we have to sit one night and talk about Yetziat Mitzrayim the whole night. Why? If we talk about it every night. But again, it's the same thing. When you get used to things, you don't even think about what you're doing. And this is why it's written, Esh HaMizbeach Tukat Bo. The fire of the altar should burn in. In what? On the altar. And in, it says, in the Kohen, in the one who brings the sacrifice. That's where the fire should burn, all the time. When we get used to things, we have to think about it and stop and put again the fire. And those things are the most important things in life. If you think about it, those things that we do every day, they are more important than anything. Talking about Yetziat Mitzrayim. Okay. So we have Yetziat Mitzrayim. We have We're mentioning it every day, a few times a day. So we get used to it. So the Torah tells us, you know what? I want you one night to sit and put the fire on. And this brings us to the question of the Ba'arba'a Banim Dibra Torah. And the clever one, the Chacham, what is he asking? What are all the rules and the laws that God, our God, told you to do? What's the meaning of it? And from one side, it reminds us the same way that the Rasha is asking the question. He says, what are all those laws that you're doing? So what is the difference? The Torah tells us, because he put himself out of the Am Yisrael, this is why he is a Rasha. And you don't talk with him. But what did the Chacham say? He also says, you. He also took himself out. But there is a small difference. He says, Hashem Elokeinu. He is a part. But what he's asking, this is Chacham. And really think, Chacham, as a clever guy, what is this question? What are the laws? What, you don't know? You're learning them every day. You are a clever guy, so you should know what it's all about. So what is this strange question? But when we think about it, the strange question here, it's not strange at all. It's very clever. He is telling us something very interesting. He says, you are mentioning Yetziat Mitzrayim every day. You do it every day. And you did it quite for a few years. I'm a young guy, so maybe I need to sit and talk about it. But you know everything about it. So why do you need to sit here the whole night and tell us about Yetziat Mitzrayim? Why do you need it? So now we understand. This is a very clever question if you think about it. Because really, this is something we do every day. So what's the problem? If we do it every day, what's the problem? Why should I sit the whole night? But that's exactly the point. And if we look at the answer, En maftirim achar apesach afikoman. Also a very strange answer. Even Chas v'Sholem is stupid. Says, what are you telling? You don't do after Pesach afikoman. And first of all, 1 minute. That's the last thing we do. We eat the afikoman. So we have to understand what we're talking about here. And maybe it will clarify things to us. For example, let's see. What is afikoman? Afikoman in Aramaic is dessert. So the Torah is telling us, after the Korban Pesach, you don't eat dessert. And because we call the matzah that is against the Korban Pesach afikoman, so we are being told, En maftirim achar Pesach afikoman, telling us that after we finish eating the matzah, which we call afikoman because that's the dessert, there is no other dessert. So why? What's the problem? So I eat the matzah, which is against the Korban Pesach, and then I'll have something sweet to eat. What's the problem? I want a dessert. But I think that's exactly the point. We have to stay with the taste of the matzah, of the Korban Pesach. Because if we do something afterwards, again, we didn't do what we should do. Because the whole idea of this night is to put the fire on and make sure that the fire is going on and on forever. So we leave the Pesach Seder with the taste of the Korban Pesach to understand and realize how important it is. For example, if we think this famous story about this guy, came to the doctor, has got throat problems. So the doctor tells him, you take those things 3 times a day. And after a week he comes, and he can't talk nothing. So the doctor, what did you take those things I gave you? He says, yes, I swallowed them 3 times a day. He says, swallow them? You have to suck them. You don't swallow them. And that's exactly the thing. When we daven, when we pray, when we say Tehillim, when all the things we do, sometimes we swallow it. We don't even think about it. But that's exactly the idea. We have to think about it. That's exactly the idea. Because what is the clever guy asking, the clever son? Asher tziva. What is tziva? It's again exactly what's written in our parsha. Tzav. Tziva is something that you have to put in your mind. Yes, I'm doing it every day, but I have to think about it. I have to make sure that the fire is still here. The fire burns. that I do it with a fire in me, not just, okay, I did it. That's not the way to do it. And this brings us to another interesting point. And this point is, when we're looking about the sacrifices, what is more important? Things I do or things that I'm thinking about? So everybody will say, of course, if you do something, you did an action, that's more important than thinking. Thinking is not doing. Doing is the thing. But when we look at the sacrifice, we see something very strange. The Torah put thinking before doing, much more important than doing. How do we see it? We have this korban that we said, that we do every day, twice a day. And this sacrifice that we bring is called korban ha'olah. And you know what it's for? For wrong thinking, al-machshava. And from the other side, when we do something wrong, we sin by mistake, we bring korban chatat. And in korban chatat, there is a part for God and a part for the human being. And all the other sacrifices also. But one sacrifice, everything goes to God. And this is korban ha'olah, which means if everything goes to God, this is the most important sacrifice. And we see it also from the fact that before we bring any other sacrifices, the first sacrifice we bring in the morning is korban ha'olah. The last one, korban ha'olah. It starts everything and it finishes everything. In other words, that's the most important thing. Thinking. Also, another interesting thing that we see in our parsha, if somebody thought about the sacrifice he brought, that he's going to eat it after the time that he is allowed to eat it. And this minute, this thought made this korban vaid, is nothing worth. But this is only your thought. Let's think about it. Actually, after he brought the sacrifices, he ate it on time. He didn't leave anything behind the allowed time. So it's okay. He did okay. But he thought about eating it in the wrong time. And the thought itself already cancelled his sacrifice, even if eventually he ate it on the right time. And this is the interesting point of thinking. And if we think about it, what is thinking? What is a human being if he doesn't think? And any action we do, we need thinking. Because without thinking, we do things that can be a disaster. For example, I remember a story that Rav Ovadia Yosef Zatzal was telling about this driver, which was running a cement truck. You know that you have this thing that I don't know how you say it in English, that makes cement and you bring it into the to the construction and you put down the cement ready. Anyway, this guy, he was a very not such a nice guy, and he used to park his big lorry, his big truck, in a certain spot. And if anybody else dared parking his car there, well, I don't want to even talk about it. One day he comes back with his truck, with his cement, and he sees a new car standing on his spot. He got very angry. So he took his truck and filled up the whole new car with the cement from his truck. Unbelievable. He goes up home, opens the door, and the whole family is there. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. It's your birthday. Mazel tov. We bought you a new car. We put it on your spot down there. Says the Rav Ovadia Yosef Zatzal. Eze achbal ze. What a stupid guy. This is doing things without thinking. So thinking is also the inside of what I do. Very important to understand and realize that I have to think about things that I do. And especially thinking about things that I do every day. What's the meaning of it? Why do I do it? Unfortunately, sometimes we don't check and we don't stop. And maybe here is God telling us, calm down, look at the world around. You know what's the idea of Yetziat Mitzrayim? It's to understand and realize that there's only one. God is the only one. There's nothing else than God. And this whole world is a fiction. The real world is the next world. But unfortunately, we live in this world and we get used to things. And we start thinking that yes, the coronavirus just happened. Nothing just happens. Everything is from God. And maybe God comes to tell us, and we have to learn, each one of us, about how to behave and what do we learn from all those things that's happening now. Suddenly we find ourselves alone. We're going to have Seder night alone. We are sitting alone. That's the time to think. What did we do wrong? Each one of us. Maybe we were thinking about ourselves and not about the others. And that's the time to start thinking about others. Maybe we're doing things because we're used to them and we don't have the fire anymore. Maybe we also take things as granted and think that they just happen. So we have to put it in our mind. That's the idea of Yetziat Mitzrayim. Yetziat Mitzrayim is the basic of our emunah, that God is the one, the only one. And this is why we need to sit whole night and remind ourselves what is the truth and what is a lie. What is this world and what is the real world? The fire is also the fire of love between us and God, between us to all our fellow men. The problem is, our sages ask, why are we getting punished for the golden calf till today? The golden calf, 3,000 people sinned and they got punished, they died. Why do we have to pay for what others did? And what was the problem for the others? The problem was being apathic, not caring, seeing a part of Am Yisrael doing something wrong and not doing nothing about it, and not caring about it. And what's happening today? And this is the greatest sin. You know, when you love somebody, sometimes you get used to it and you take things for granted. That's not the way to have a good relationship. A good relationship between people, between a couple, between parents and kids, kids and parents, friends, is to have the fire on all the time. It's to do things with fire inside you, not because I have to do them, because I want to do them. Not just another thing in the day, but something special. Love is something unbelievable. And everybody's got love. And this morning I was taking a part from the Ten Chelkeinu, interesting book that is telling a very interesting thing about love. Aaron, a Kohen, was granted to put on himself the Urim v'Tumim. And it's written on his heart, al halev. Vehayu al lev Aaron. They are on the heart of Aaron. It says Rabbi Shimon Bar Yossi that this is against but it's written about Aaron when Moshe Rabbeinu was nominated to be the messenger and to take Am Yisrael out of Egypt, and he was worried about his brother. He says, and he comes out and he's going to be happy for you from his heart, not something from the outside. side, from his heart. The question is, Aaron HaKohen is the guy that we say, Hillel HaZaken tells us every time, Hillel HaZaken tells us, sorry, 1 minute. Hillel HaZaken tells us, הווה מתלמידיו של אהרון, אוהב שלום ורודף שלום, אוהב את הבריות ומקרבן לתורה. You should be from the students of Aaron HaKohen. He loved peace, he was chasing peace, and he loved all the people and was taking them close to the Torah. How did he do it? For example, if two people had a quarrel between them, had a row, he used to take each one of them differently and tell him, your friend wants your forgiveness, without the friend knowing about it. So when they met together, each one of them thought that the other one is asking the forgiveness, and they made peace. The same thing when somebody had a trial with somebody. He used to try to make sure that before they get to trial, they make peace between them. So, as being a leader in Egypt, before Moshe Rabbeinu came, sure, he did peace between a lot of people. And why? The thing that the Gemara is telling us is because he loved his brother. Is this more important than loving strangers? Loving a brother is something natural. So what's the big deal with this? But the real truth is, if you think about it, it is a big deal. It's very easy to love somebody from far away. You don't have to do anything. But those that are living with you, that you love them, for them you have to do things. This is a little harder. So if you love your brother, you love your spouse, you love your parents, you love your children, and you prepare to do for them everything. So when this way, everybody's got love. So you develop it. And it starts from those who are close to you because they are the test. Because here, you have to show the love. You have to do things for the love. And as we said before, you have to do it with fire. And when you do this, then you can love all the others. And it's a very clever thing, very clever idea. So we learn from this sacrifice of the Olah. Every day, twice a day, we get used to it. So because of this, we have to make sure that the fire stays there. And we also understood that the most important thing is the thinking. Before you do something, think about it. But again, you have to understand, you have to do. Thinking is not enough. Only thinking, it's very good, but not enough. You have to think and you have to act accordingly. But don't act without thinking. And if you do this, and you make sure that those things that you used to them, you still have the fire in you. And to understand and realize that everything is from God. Nothing happens just by accident. And if we realize this, and especially now in that time, where we think about it, and this feeling will increase, Be'ezrat Hashem, the fire of love, the fire on the altar, the connection between us and God, between us and our fellow man, will increase, and God will take this virus away from us, and will have the Geula b'mera b'yameinu. Amen.